All right, so what we started out with was our project was the nuclear power probe project, and what we were supposed to do is build and design a working power probe. And they were supposed to go to the PULSTAR reactor on the campus and detect how much Karanov radiation was being produced by the reactor. Right here we have some background information about the reactor. It's a 1 megawatt reactor on campus, and they just recently started doing some paperwork to get it up to 2 megawatts to be allowed to do that. But right now it's mainly just used for research purposes by the nuclear department. Here we have some background about the radiation. So what it is basically a sonic boom, but with particles that move through transparent mediums at speeds faster than light. And that was discovered by Pavel Alexeyevich Karanov in 1934, and he got a Nobel Prize in Physics for his super cool discovery. So this is what the radiation looks like. It's bluish. You either get a flash or a consistent glow. And honestly, it's really cool. I think that was my favorite part of being there. What about you guys?
It was nice.
Yeah.
All right. So what we were required to do, we had to make a probe that operated in the blue spectrum. It needed to be able to detect blue light, and it had to have PVC body, and basically everything's PVC. It must be waterproof because, putting in the reactor, which is filled with water, we don't want any parts being damaged by the water, and it all has to be under $40. Ours was $37, which is pretty nice.
Just under the budget.
Just under. And so, project timeline, we wanted to have our background research in check, so we did our research on the radiation and the reactor itself. Because we had no knowledge of anything light sensors or wiring at all from the get-go, we decided to do our research on that, so we knew how to wire it and create the probe itself. We assembled the materials. We made like a small test probe after we got the materials from our brand new Home Depot. And then we built the probe after we realized the waterproofing method we were going to use didn't actually work, and we'll talk about that a little later. We went to the test date. We did something on the test date, and then we interpreted our beautiful data. And so here's just a little list of what we used. We borrowed a multimeter. We had our PVC pipe, and we had PVC caulk. We had black electrical tape, which we didn't really use for the waterproofing. We thought we were going to use caulk and electrical tape for the waterproofing. Didn't actually work. But other than that, we had the 10-foot PVC pipe we cut in half, 2-inch PVC connector for our 2-inch PVC pipe. We had a strap adapter to hold our plexiglass, and we had solid copper wire and stranded copper wire, and then the semiconductor photodiodes. And so the initial construction, because we didn't want to just, build the whole thing as the 5-foot probe, that would be really annoying to test. We bought like a 2-foot 2-inch PVC pipe. We initially put electrical tape around it and then caulk to test waterproofing. Electrical tape didn't help whatsoever, so
turns out the electrical tape made it worse than just caulk.
Yeah. So we ditched that entirely and just put a bunch of caulk around it, and that worked out pretty nice. For the plexiglass, we had to cut it into a little circle. That really sucked the sand down, but other than that, it was pretty nice.
Yeah.
And that's the product. You'll see me and Andrew just over there holding it, attaching it to a pipe that's up there in my room. And we didn't spray paint it Duke Blue before testing because apparently the people would have gotten really mad if we did that. So instead we spray painted that after on a whim. And yeah, it was nice.
So on our actual test date, this was the data we got. They gave us a baseline reading when the reactor was off, and we got a reading of 0 millivolts. And then they gave us readings at 100 kilowatts, 300 kilowatts, and 500 kilowatts. And as you can see, our probe was not exactly producing very good results. So for the mystery level, which we did not at the time know was 350 kilowatts, we got the exact same value that we did at 300 kilowatts, which gave us this perfect linear graph. And using this linear graph, we calculated the mystery power level to be exactly 300 when we know it was really 350. So this made our percent error 14.3%, which wasn't that bad considering the probe didn't actually work on test date as we had hoped it would. But what went wrong We know that it wasn't a waterproofing issue because it still functioned when the overhead lights were on and it was submerged in water. We know that it was just the photodiodes and that they weren't detecting light the right way because in a parallel circuit, we get voltage gated by whichever one is detecting the least amount of light. So we would either next time wire it in series because voltage is additive in series, or we could just secure our photodiodes better to guarantee that they're detecting light. At FEDD, we really tried, and it paid off because we got an honorable mention, which is, I think,
That was
4th
pretty-
place.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
We're 4th.
we did decent. And then our advice for next year's freshmen is to build a working probe. So I would definitely worry about the photodiodes. We were told to worry mostly about waterproofing, so we didn't worry too much about the photodiodes.
Yeah.
And then take lots of pictures during the process, because we didn't do that, so we didn't have too many process pictures to share. And then also, don't stress about FEDD too much, because once you get there, you see that everybody had the same struggles that you went through, and it's okay. And that's all.
That's it.
Hi, guys.
Bye.